Welcome, everybody. Today, I have Dylan Burns with me. He's going to help us get a little breakdown on what's happening in the construction insurance industry, specifically 2021 and what you can expect in 2022. With a lot coming out of the pandemic and a lot of changes, I thought it'd be great to get a little update on this. Dylan, welcome, and thank you again for joining us.
Hey, Scott, thank you for having me on. And yeah, look forward to answering any questions you have and providing a little insight on the fun world of the insurance marketplace.
Let's start this off by introducing yourself to our audience. Let them know who you are, where you're from, and what you're all about.
Yeah, sure. My name is Dylan Burns. I'm a risk advisor with BKS Partners, headquartered out of Tampa. I work with businesses, and particularly in the construction industry, as it pertains to their property and casualty and surety needs. And today we're going to do a little presentation on the current state of the insurance marketplace, as well as some tips and tricks to help benefit you all as you move forward through the process.
Dylan also put together a great report that he shared with me, which we'll get out with everyone. In the report, you talk specifically about risk differentiation. And I thought it was interesting. Can you tell us a little bit from your perspective, how the construction company achieves that and what action should they take when they're working with their insurance agent?
Sure. So before really shift to the differentiator, I think it's probably important to state, where we are in the marketplace. We are in a very hard insurance marketplace right now. And what that means to you and your clients is the marketing and the underwriting is much more stringent. Rates are going up, which is bringing the premiums significantly up for them as well. And we're really seeing some big increases on the general liability, the auto liability, as well as the umbrella, probably the most. Where we're seeing anywhere from 50 to 75% rate increases year over year. And we've gotten there because of the low interest rates we've seen. There's a lot of social inflation going on and nuclear verdicts, as well as worldwide catastrophes, your floods, your hurricanes and wildfires. That's kind of how we got to this point. But now, what can we do to sort of help your clients and working with their brokers to benefit from where they are now? It's very important right now is really looking at how you can better yourself versus your competitors in the marketplace and making yourself look more like a better risk to the underwriters than the folks that you're competing against.
Let me summarize. You said something interesting there, and I want to make sure everybody grabs that. When you say make yourself look better, when I hear that in the insurance world, to me, what that means is I got to make myself look less risky. If I'm in the financial world, it'd be like, I need to make my financials look better, make more money, save more cash, etc. But in the insurance world, it means like, I need to make sure that I have all the safety programs for my people in place, meaning certifications. Those are great, right? If they're safe driver certifications, awesome. If I can put equipment on my vehicle to show that I monitor my drivers with corporate vehicles, great. Is that what you're referring to by making myself look great?
Yeah, working with your broker to help tell your story to the underwriters in a fashion that makes them say, okay, ABC company is a better risk than XYZ company. And in doing so, like you mentioned, your backup cameras, your dashboard cameras, GPS tracking for your vehicles, anything that you can do along those lines helps that story. Sharing analytics of either the good trends you're doing or potentially, like you mentioned before, maybe a claim that you've had, but what you're doing to mitigate that in conjunction with what your broker does on the analytical side and really differentiating yourself from the entire marketplace is super important right now, especially as we're seeing carriers looking to really tier good risk versus bad risk in the market.
You brought up another good point that makes you think, I wonder how many of our clients or folks watching this now actually think about their insurance agent and ask them to tell them how they are going to present their client to the companies. And sometimes I think clients may think that the broker is really just taking their piece of paper and shopping it around, and maybe they are. But the reality is, I think the differentiator is one first question I'd be asking right now is I'd ask my insurance broker to tell me how they're going to go present it. I'd make them give me a 1 minute, 2 minute dissertation of how exactly they're going to frame up me as their client to the insurance agency. And if they can't do that well, that would probably be one indicator for me that's going to mean I'm just a piece of paper getting shopped around at that point.
Yeah, underwriters, they're receiving a significantly more submissions than they have in the past. Maybe in your traditional sense, you've seen submissions go out 90 or 120 days out from the renewal date. I'm sure a lot of your clients have received their submissions a week before the renewal and they kind of get hamstrung. So we're working with clients now 180 days in front because we're trying to put together all the pieces so that when that day is available to submit to the carriers, it's not getting sent to the bottom of the pile pretty much.
Switching to workers' comp for a second, you mentioned that insurers are closely monitoring those risks, particularly related to the COVID-19 pandemic. And I found that part interesting. Can you touch a little bit on that and why they're looking at mental health, less experienced workforce? Like, talk through that, because I think that might be, it sounded to me as something new in the workers' comp area.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, the rates, we're seeing these rate increases. Fortunately, workers' comp is the only coverage that has stayed flat. So that's a good thing. But in turn, we're coming out of this pandemic. We're having issues with supplies. We're having issues with bringing on and retaining good folks. So right now, it's very important for construction firms to make sure that they are hiring the correct folks, because if you're just bringing in somebody just to fill a space, that leads to more claims and that leads to increased mod, which has a huge impact on your workers' comp premium. So yeah, the pandemic has been an issue for many businesses. And really, we've seen a lot of construction firms really stick their heads in the sand as it pertains to workers' comp. But really, right now is a very important time to focus on the folks you're bringing in, as well as the training and the safety practices that you're instilling with your team.
You know, cybersecurity was another thing in here that I didn't really think a lot about from a construction standpoint. It's not something we've focused on before.
Sure.
But it seems like it's more of a threat today, or at least something that insurers are really looking to make sure there's coverage for. Can you talk a little bit about that and tell us why?
Absolutely. And I'm actually really happy you brought that up, because most of the construction folks that I speak with, they ask me the same question. You know, why would someone want to hack my company? And they're right. We're getting away from the instance of data breaches that you've seen in the past. Everybody's heard of the Target or the Home Depot breaches, but really where cyber criminals are beginning to focus on is not as much on the big payday, but more so on the easier to impact businesses. And historically, construction firms have not as focused as much because it hasn't been a risk for them. So now they're seeing a lot more phishing scams, fraudulent emails, transfer funds. There's just so much more that's being brought upon construction firms now that they're moving more to a digital space as well. And these business interruptions that can happen to a business now in the construction space is just greater than it has been in the past.
Let me ask you another question related to sureties. So a lot of our clients are either have bonding programs, they're getting bonding programs, or they're bidding work that is going to need a bond. And a lot of that has to do with some of the stimulus. Some of that has to do with just projects were on hold, and now there's an influx of greater projects. What this article mentioned about here was just the increased focus on the financials and the presentation of them and the timeliness of them. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah. So, as most people understand through the pandemic, a lot of different businesses had issues with their finances and many firms actually went out of business. So that happened, a lot of these jobs and the sureties had to come in and pick up the pieces pretty much. Really looking at the financials of the company is always important for surety, but become more so now. And I know that what your question was, what they can do on the timing front is getting out and understanding what jobs you're looking at and working with your broker to understand, hey, is there a way we can increase our bond capability and capacity? And actually some carriers are now opening up more. So beforehand, they may not have been able to increase those limits. And now that we've kind of come out of this pandemic, and depending on the financial stability of that company, there are more opportunities than there had been in the past.
Dylan, I want to thank you a lot for going through this with us. I really appreciate the information, and there's a ton of great material in here, and I really encourage everyone to take a look. Is it a public document that can be downloaded? Can people access it?
Yeah, we have it on. It's a public on our website, www.bks-partners.com. It's a great article. It's kind of easy, like you mentioned, easy to read, and I hope this is helpful, and look forward to assisting any way I can moving forward as well.
We'll make sure we get a link out underneath here where everybody has their contact information. If you guys ever want to connect with Dylan, get some specific information, you're more than welcome to. His email and phone number are right here below. And as always, thank you guys for taking the time to listen. Happy to pass this information on to you. I thought it was really interesting. And Dylan, again, I appreciate you guys putting it together, and thank you for sharing it to me.
You got it. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye, everybody.